So, moving on to some interesting news, very interesting JoJo related news. Viz Media has done exactly what I thought they would do. But I actually didn't know if it was going to happen or not. So they licensed the Diamond is Unbreakable manga, which, I mean, that one's kind of obvious. Like, JoJo's doing very well in the States. Both
Yes.
with well, yeah, I mean, it's so super interesting because we have new fans coming in. Like, I remember I was online for the Nintendo World thing, the E3 event, the one that's on our Those Guys Play channel, because I did like a tour. It was the day that they had the Nintendo Direct in E3 over in LA, and I was seeing it in New York. We also got some Super Smash Brothers Ultimate footage. It was pretty cool. But I saw a guy online. Clearly, if he wasn't, he had to be younger than me. So, like, I'm 25. He had to be at his oldest early 20s. So, and he had like JoJo patches on his bag and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, we have new fans coming in here, and we have older fans as well. I mean, Pete Molsky. Pete has come on and done, Let's Play stuff with us. He podcasted Castlevania with me the first season. And he is in his, I think, I'm going to flatter him, early 30s, I think. And he's been a fan of JoJo for a while. I mean, we've had JoJo, like, JoJo goes so far back in the U.S., obviously in Japan it goes even farther, but in the U.S., that we had the first game ever released in the U.S. was the PS1 game called JoJo's Venture.
Right.
Which was a Part 3 game.
Yeah.
A Part 3 fighting game. So, we've had so much JoJo love for years now, but finally it's just all culminating and the fans are getting all of it with not only the Diamond is Unbreakable manga, but we have to mention here as well that the live action film was also licensed. That's also coming here. And of course, all of you guys have heard the news. We aren't breaking news here in terms of Part 5, Golden Wind. I like the other name for it, the non-translated name.
Yeah.
Golden Wind is nice, but the other one, I think I like the other one despite the fact that I consistently mispronounce it. Arrero Venturo.
Right.
Ace Ventura. I keep on fucking mispronouncing it. The point is that I think that last time I got it right though. Anyway, so yeah, Viz Media announced at a panel at Anime Expo that they're releasing all of the JoJo. All of the JoJo. No, because like I will admit, I can't say that I predicted the manga thing happening because that's a no shit, right? Like if JoJo manga is selling well, then they're gonna get Part 4.
Right.
The live action movie is one that I predicted though, or at least I was hoping they would get it. But at the same time, even then, I think I predicted it, but I think in the same video, if you remember, I was even like, but I don't know, because sometimes companies are coming in, like, I was expecting Funimation to be like, we've licensed it, and it's like, oh, an enemy stand! So I didn't know where, who's going to end up getting the film, so it's nice that it's under the Viz banner. It feels like all of the names and the terms can be similar.
Right.
Because I think that's the biggest thing I don't know about you, Tristan, but I feel awkward about going from one company to another when it comes to translation choices.
Right.
So, like, especially an anime like JoJo that's very action-heavy. I mean, other anime can have, certain lines that make comebacks in later seasons and things like that, different references. But still, when it comes to very action-heavy shows like this, it's really frustrating that, like, I don't know, like, if Funimation picked it up, and it was like, oh, look at that, it's cooler ice. And then Viz is like cool ice. And it's just like, technically they're both not right? But we know why they had to be changed in the first place.
Right.
But still, it's kind of like, it's, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was it, like that one company that picked up Yu Yu Hakusho.
Right.
That wasn't Funimation. That one movie that, like, I think one of the first.
The Poltergeist Report.
Thank you. Was it the first movie or the second movie? I thought it was the first.
I still get confused about that because I only saw one of them.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, even putting aside the fact that they were dubbed by different people, even putting the dub voice aside, I have a strange feeling that the subtitle track was probably very different than Funimation's, word choices. So, like, it gets a little awkward, it gets a little weird. So, really, I'm happy that Viz got to pick it up, the movie, and, of course, the Golden Wind anime. Hooray! Right? Again, I'm just shocked that it's coming out this soon, especially because that's the one thing, and Tristan, jump into this. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
My body is ready.
They kept it a secret for so long that they're just like, oh, by the way, October. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, October on Crunchyroll, potentially, but
Yeah.
still. Or, actually, to be fair, it says October in Japan. I don't think they mentioned Crunchyroll.
Right.
Or did they? Because I don't believe they said it's Crunchyroll was like, and we've picked it up. But we can only imagine that Crunchyroll will get it. But yeah, because it says it's coming out in October. So again, we can assume that in October. But still, dude, they kept that secret for so long. And they're like, by the way, this is happening right now.
By the way, direct your attention towards the screen.
Yeah, right? Well, because, dude, like, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to other industries, it seems like every time, like, I feel like every time Robert Downey Jr. farts on the set of goddamn fucking, a Marvel movie, everyone's like, and by the way, here's everything else that happened that day. And it's like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like every single, a lot of industries have, spoilers up the wazoo, just everywhere.
Right.
And here, we didn't know any rumors of this. I mean, we assumed it was coming soon, right? I've speculated on it. But, boom. Just immediate part 5. And it's like, oh. So how do you feel about this, Tristan?
I don't think I can express it in words. I think I can only express it in pose.
An alternative dance. Expressive dance. So, I'm hyped. I will admit, I still haven't even seen part 3, so I'm not as hyped as the rest of the fandom. But
I am
really
finally current, so I am completely hyped.
Right. Now, question, are you also hyped about part 4 appearing on Toonami? Because yes, once part 3 ends,
right,
the dub is going straight to Toonami.
Right.
To me,
that's what I thought was crazy when I read that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to start in, I believe it's August? Yeah, August 18th. It's the dub of Diamond is Unbreakable is going to premiere on Toonami.
Yeah, to me that's amazing. Now again, it's like, but Matt, you're not even at part 3. What's the deal? It's just the thing that I keep on saying over and over and over again, where you and I come off as the oldest of fogies. We come off as so old. We're only 25, but it feels like our hips are consistently breaking under the pressure of the fact that we used to have to wait years for anime to come out. Years. I will say this until the day that I die. On my deathbed, my grandchildren will be extremely confused. I had to wait. Granted, I didn't even know about its existence, but still, in theory, we had to wait, what? I'm gonna say, 7 years. 7 to 9 years for Dragon Ball Z to actually get dubbed and become popular in the West. Because Dragon Ball Z started in Japan in 1990. Could you fucking imagine if in 1989 they were airing Dragon Ball on television and we're like, and by the way, next, or even if it was a year or two later, to be fair,
Right.
It's not like part 4 just finished airing, to be fair, in Japan.
Right.
To be fair. But still, though, to have an English adaptation of an anime for a multi-season anime like this, to have it finish, and then, by the way, it's like, oh, and next week, we're getting the next one. It's like, what? I mean, that doesn't even happen with, like, Attack on Titan, and granted, yes, there's a gap between 2 and 3, but we don't even know when Season 3 is coming out in the U.S., right? We've reported on when it's coming out in Japan, we've reported on Funimation releasing the first episode in theaters, so we know that they've dubbed it. We just don't know when they're going to get a slot on Adult Swim, I assume after Pop Team Epic. But still, we don't know. We have no freaking idea. And here, we're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen after part 3. My thought was Attack on Titan. Maybe it's a bit too close to its Japanese release date. They didn't want to do that.
Right.
So I was wondering. I was like, oh, I wonder what's coming out after part 3. Part 4. What else did you think, motherfucker? And it's like, well, I don't know. Bebop reruns again? I don't know. Because it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy to see this come out, to me anyway, so soon after part 3. I know not its Japanese counterpart, because it came out, 2 years ago at this point? Or a year ago?
Oh, part 4?
Yeah, or did it end a year ago?
I think it was...
Because it was 52 episodes, right?
Yeah, somewhere in the 40 to 50, somewhere in there.
Okay. No, I'm only asking because I could swear that Part 4 started in 2016.
Yeah.
In Japan, but it didn't end in the same year. I thought it ended in 2017. So, but if I'm wrong, then yeah, it's been 2 years, so it kind of makes sense. But again, for me, you can call me a new JoJo fan if you want to. It's just so interesting to have this. It feels like it's an abundance of JoJo at once.
Yeah, I think it was
Like
2016 because I watched it last year.
Oh, you watched it. Okay, so that's why. So you're telling me about it, so it made me think that it ended later than it did.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, no, it just feels like it's all of, again, it's an abundance of JoJo. It's maximum JoJo at once. And also the fact that at Anime, over JoJo, and at Anime Expo, they actually not only showcased the first episode of Part 5, so for any of you guys that were there, comment below, that's amazing. Not only did they do that, but they also had like a cosplay contest, and they actually did some interviews there. So it was really cool that they actually incorporated so much into it that it wasn't just, not that it's a problem that, you just have an episode reveal and then, a small dialogue. But I think it's also interesting because, it wasn't the English dub, of course.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to sit back and be like, oh, who are we getting for this? So of course you're going to get the Japanese side of things. And of course, just to, I guess, maybe make the event a bit more, I don't want to say action-packed, but I guess pose-worthy. You have the cosplay contest, just to kind of rile things up, because I will admit, as great as it is to have Japanese guests, you do need to have an interpreter in there. So that does kind of slow down the event a little bit. Like, you want to have, like, having Japanese guests, there's no issue with it. It's just that we do have to acknowledge that if Tristan and I, and like, think of everyone who's been on those guys' play. If, let's say, I'm going to go with only 10, even though there's been more than 10. If 10 people want to ask someone on staff a question, every single question then has to be translated by the interpreter, who then has to tell it to either the creator of that, or the director of that anime, or a voice actor, who then has to translate it back to the interpreter, who then has to say it to all of us. So it's nice to pump up the event a little bit, with some cosplay contests and some other stuff going on as well. Get the fans riled up, because it does seem like it kind of slows down the event, you know what I mean? Versus having it just be in anyone's native tongue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would say the same thing happens when, speaking of the Avengers, right? If, Chris Evans went to Japan to promote the Avengers, it would also slow down the event having Japanese fans talk to him through an interpreter, who then has to say to Chris Evans, this is what they said. And then he has to say to that interpreter, okay, here's my long-winded response. I don't know about you guys, but I'm long-winded. So to me, it would take a long time. It wouldn't just be like, I like your work. Thank you. Like, actually asking questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and in this case, though, it did seem like the questions it wasn't just, like, fans asking questions. It was actually bringing different, like I said, the series director, Naokatsu Suda, bringing him on and other staff at David Production, and really just kind of getting like a Q&A that doesn't, because I feel like fan Q&A, as much as I love it, it can slow things down. So no fan Q&A, just an actual, like, interviewer, interviewee. So that was pretty cool. I'm not going to read everything out here because that's way too much. But again, the articles will be listed in the description box below if you guys want to check it out. Either way, dude, I'm really hyped. And you can't describe it with words, but if you can try, just for a second, try to describe it with words. Or more importantly, what has you the most hype? Is it the movie license? Is it Part 5 on Crunchy? Or is it Part 4 on television?
Well, I mean, for me, it's Part 5.
Well, to be fair, we don't know if it's on Crunchy yet. But again, we can only assume. It would be so weird. It would be just Viz flips off Funimation. Viz flips off Crunchyroll. Viz flips off everyone and creates JoJo stream. All JoJo, all the time. Every single piece of JoJo media ever created only on one streaming service.
Every incarnation of the JoJo.
No, Here's what they do, though, Tristan. It's part anime, but just like how Crunchyroll has manga as well, you can digitally get all of the JoJo manga that they've released thus far, including Extra Part 4, through the service if you subscribe for, $8 a month.
Oh, damn.
So $8 a month, you get every volume digitally. You get every single season of the show digitally, both in Japanese and English, and Part 5 is exclusively coming to that service.
Oh, Civil War.
Yeah, it would just, I don't know about you, but I'd be like, Wilp. I'd be like waiting for Toonami, it'll come out in a year. Probably a little, it might be a year before it comes out on Toonami. Unless, of course, they're like, nope, the dub won't be on Toonami, it'll all be on the streaming service. And I'm like, Wilp, where's my $8? Gotta find the money in my wallet for JoJo.